Welcome to LNP Renewable System Integrator. Today we're going to see some of the basics of SMA field server. Okay, if you're working as a building automation control system engineer, as a system integrator, you should know how to use it. Okay, we are just going to look into some of the little basics. That is, today's topic we'll try to cover what is field server, what is the purpose of it, okay, and most importantly, why should we know about this SMC field server, okay, how can we use it, where to download it, okay, what are the things as a building management system or a BACS engineer who are working in a multi-project storage buildings or metro projects, you should know about this field server. Okay, so field server is a toolbox, okay, which is a toolbox with a web interface. Okay, so when you install the software, okay, when you try to discover any devices by connecting them through the Ethernet port, okay, it is directly take you to the Chrome web page. Okay, through the web page, through the with the help of this IP addresses, you can able to access the concerned equipments. Okay, it is one of the best tool. You can using this tool. Okay, you can do the following tasks. You can do the set the configuration parameters for the backnet connections. Okay, including the backnet IP, port number, and even you can apply the configuration through the CSV files also. That is the biggest advantage of this SMC field server toolbox. Okay, so it means using this SMC field server, you can export the CSV file as well. You can import the CSV file as well. So while exporting, it might be an empty file, and after updating the required details, that is the parameters that you want to do, the parameter backnet connection that you want to establish, okay, backnet IPs, port numbers, slave IDs, okay, all these things you can assign. Then you can import it and then you can able to communicate with the different sort of field devices which is present in the field. So this is how the device looks like. This is the field server, serial Ethernet quick server. Okay, as you can see here, we have two ports. This is going to be R1 and this is going to be R2. Okay, we as a system integrator, we used to recommend you to use the R2 port because you have indications here. Okay, whether you have a proper communication, you can check with the TXRX indications. If there is no receiving, then you can able to identify with the indication itself. So it's an easy one to cross verify your communication is better or not. So I won't say you should not connect in R1. You can connect in R1 as well, but if you connect in R2, you have a LED indication, so it's easy for you to check. Okay, and then this is the power provisions. So as you can see here, we have a dindle provisions at the back. So in the normal dindle itself, using the help of this provision, you can fix this field servers. Okay, so this is measurement details. It differs based on the product that you're going to choose. Okay, as I told earlier, we have two ports, R1 and R2. You can use R1 as well as R2. So we have TXRX and the grounding connections. So as you can see here, the positive here refers to your line wire. Okay, maybe you can, if you're using a white wire, you can use it. Okay, if you're going for a minus, you can use a black wire, and for the thing, there is a shield grounding. You can use the shields that you're normally using it. Okay, so as we told earlier, so this is a port connection that you can use for RS port communication. Okay, and we have a power provisions also. These power provisions you can connect in the plus, okay, and minus. So you can connect the 24 volt power. Okay, and as we told earlier, so where we will use this R2 connections, R2 ports. So R2 ports are used in the places where the signal baud rate are in the range of 48, okay, 48, 4800, 9600, 19200, 38400, okay, 57600, okay, like that. So if you have the different baud rates, you can go with this R2 ports. Okay, so where and all you can use R1 ports. So R1 ports, okay, these also have 3 pins plus minus of the grounding. So you can go for RS positive connections, okay, plus minus of the ground connections. So on the R1 connection, if it is a small border is very less, in such cases you can go with the R1 connections. If it is more than 4800, okay, if it is more than the 400, it is better to go with the R2 connection. Okay, but even in R2 you can use the equipment which we are going to connect in R1, because we have LED indications. It's easy for you to sort it out, the connections is good or not, okay, with the LED power itself. As I told earlier, you can provide 24 volt AC supply. Okay, this is the power provisions here in the field server. And this is the Ethernet port that you're going to connect, which will be at the bottom. As you can see here, this is a straight view. So at the bottom here, Okay, at the bottom you have this Ethernet port connections. So you can connect your Ethernet port, and when you connect with it, okay, you need to configure your PCs with this IP in this range 192.168.2. And you can keep anything, and your subnet mask should be in this range. Okay, then only you can able to communicate with the new field server. After getting communication, you can change here the required IP address that you want. Okay, this is going to be a default IP address. So maybe based on your project, based on the IP details that you have for your projects, you can assign. So you can assign um, 16.14.17.232 11 12, like that, whatever plan that you have for your projects. So those things you can assign for this concerned field server that you're going to install in your site. Okay, so as we told earlier, where we are using it, why we want to use it, we should know, right? What is the application of it, why we are going for it? Very simple. It is a very good, as we told earlier. Okay, as we told at the starting. Okay, it provides a web interface. Okay, with the help of this, we can able to do the set configuration parameters for the backnet connections, as I told earlier. So what are these backnet connections? So through the backnet, you can communicate with a lighting control system. You can communicate with HVAC chillers. You can communicate with fan coil units. You can communicate with occupancy sensors. So like this, so many devices you can able to communicate. So these devices might be present at a different locations with their own different controllers. Okay, so if you want to bring all the data in a single place, and if you want to establish the communication with your either your PLCs, then you need the help of this guy named this field server. This is also called as a building automation gateway. Okay, so they have special controllers. If you're going for a serial communication, you can assign the slave IDs to your different controllers. You can loop them in a single loop. You can have so many devices as you want. Okay, so there was a time you can use more than 15 devices in a loop. Okay, nowadays it's keep on increasing up to more than 20 to 25 devices. Okay, and in sometimes if you are planning for end of line resistors, use it. Okay, if it is not available, sometimes dip switch settings might be there in the controller itself. You can go for it. Okay, so as we told earlier, through the Sierra Monitor website, you can download the SMC field server toolbox. Okay, as we told earlier. And the first and foremost thing is that when you connect your devices, keep your IP in this range. Okay, when you connect your devices, when you try to open this field server, this page will open. As you can see here, we have a MAC address of the concerned devices. If you want to cross confirm, you can check in the MAC address details, which will be present in your devices that you receive. Okay, and if you when you press connect, okay, what will happen immediately in the web page screen, this screen will open. So as you can see here, this is a demo. This name you can rename it. Okay, and these are the setups, views, and the user messages. Okay, so as we keep on going, okay, the next most important thing that you want to do is the setup area. Okay, here two things are very much important. One is this file transfer, and the network setting is very much important. As I told earlier, so you will have a default IP address. If you want to change this IP address to 16.12.14.75 or 76, like that, based on the IP list that you have, okay, you can assign that IP address and subnet mask you can give and make it enable. Okay, you can use the default gateway also. Okay, if you enabled it, it will be pretty good, and try to update it so that the new IP address will be get updated to your devices. Okay, and as we told earlier, next most important thing, important support that you need is the file transfer. So as you can see here in the file transfer, you have two options. One is the update configuration, and second one is the retrieve configuration. Retrieve configuration, where you can use if you want to communicate with the device which is already configured. Okay, and just you want to download the configuration file from it, and you just want to know what is exactly, if it is not communicating properly, you just want to know whether we had configured it properly or not. So for that, you need to, using the retrieve one, you can download it, the configuration file. It will be a CSV Excel file. Okay, CSV Excel file. Inside that, all the required parameters that you had configured will be there. Using that, if you want to make any sort of updations, if you want to upload the same configuration to the different devices with the different IPs, you can go for it. Or if you are creating it newly, okay, then you can download from there and you can update all the requirements and configuration parameters for the backend. Then you can update the configuration using the choose file option. Select the concerned CB from the place where you store it and submit it. so that once it is submitted, the system will ask for system reset. Try to restart it. Okay, after restarting it, as you can see here, they had provided a name. Okay, and when you go for the view itself in the connection options, okay, if it is a Modbus or to you or PLC or BACnet, whatever you configure, you can see the TA readings, that is values will be there, 1 1 2 2 like that, or if it is a 3 3 like that, TX RX will be there. If there is a communication, if there is any sort of errors, you can see in the error columns also. So always try to reduce much errors, and if the TX is at most equal to the RX, it means you have a very good communication with the field devices. Okay, and so as I told earlier, in the view, most importantly, the setup, once it is done, then you need to go for a view connections. If there is no configuration done yet, so when you open the connections, you will see 0 zeros if there is no communication. Okay, if there is a communication, you will have the values here. It can be in any range, 1 2 3 like that, but the DX analogs will be at most same. Okay, next is the data arrays. So this is the thing that you're going to define. Okay, the data arrays can be digital inputs. Okay, it can be digital outputs, or it can be analog inputs, or it can be analog outputs. So this is the one, this is getting decided on the configuration file that you have downloaded in your previous session, right? So you have downloaded from here this configuration. Inside this configuration, you're going to assign this data arrays, what sort of data arrays you're going to use, whether you're going to do only read operation, or if you want the write options also. Okay, whether you're going to read only the digital inputs or digital output commands you need, or you're going to read only the analog inputs, or you're going to provide any sort of analog output commands. Okay, and most importantly, the register details are very much important. The registers, you can go with the integers, you can give the floating points. Okay, so based on the requirement, if it is analog, mostly you prefer the floating points. If it is a digital input or digital output, go with the binary input, or you can go with the binary outputs. So it is up to the signal that you're going to choose. So this is how you can assign the basic things in your data arrays. And nodes, so nodes here refers to from where you're going to communicate. It means it can be a port 1 or it can be a port 2. Okay, and what is the nodes that you're going to assign? Means here this your field server is going to be your master. Okay, and the devices that you're going to connect in the field, example, it can be a FCU controller, or it can be a VRF units, or it can be a central battery system, or it can be a domestic water pump controllers, or it can be a sewage water pump controller. So all these things will have a separate slave IDs. So you need to, these slave IDs should be assigned in the concerned controllers. Then using the nodes, you can access those concerned controllers which is in the field. Then what you have to do, you need to create the memories arrays. Okay, so you have to move the information from the slaves to the arrays which is being created inside the field server. Okay, then from there you need to move the information to the concerned controllers that you want. It can be a DDC controller that you want to see, or it can be a PLCs. Inside the PLCs, inside the data memories, once you have created, okay, you can move it. So this is how the basic concept is going to happen. Okay, so through the nodes you're going to access as a master. It will act as a master. You're going to access the different slaves with the different slave IDs. Then you're going to assign some memory, read memory, or holding registers. So through the holding registers or the IDs that you have assigned, you're going to assign them through the object ID or the backnet ID. Okay, that you have assigned in the field, that is going to be the slave ID. Okay, with the help of the object instances, you're trying to read them, and you're collecting all these informations in the arrays that you have created, data arrays that you have created. From there, okay, you're moving those informations to the PLCs. Okay, so as we told earlier, there are so many protocols you can use. Okay, and most importantly, what sort of adapter it can be. And mostly in most places we used to go for this N1 adapters. Okay, as we told earlier, okay, when you export this configuration file, you can see the connections. Okay, you can see the nodes, all these provisions will be there. So here node name, you can assign what node name you want, and this node ID is going to be your backnet ID. backnet ID. So it can be 1, 2, 3, which might be assigned before, or it can be 22 or 23, which might be in the in the field. Okay, these information you need to get, and you need to inform the concerned persons who is the owner of that concerned equipment. They need to assign this information inside this controller. Then only you can able to assign. Okay, I never say only the backnet IDs. Apart from it, there is a possibility for IP addresses to get assigned there. So not only the backnet um, equipments which is going to act as a slave, you can connect with these equipments. Apart from it, you can connect with the normal equipments also with IP addresses. Okay, through the networks you can establish the communication with them, and you can able to read this information, extract the information from the field. So as I told earlier, this is how you need to create the data arrays inside your Excel file. Okay, you will have a data array name. Here it is refers to your data array. Okay, data for backnet is going to be an analog output. You're going to have an analog input. So this is the data format. Those values are going to be a floating point, and most importantly, you can have the digital inputs or digital outputs in the bit formats itself. And this is the data array. This is very much important because this is the one we are assigning inside the configuration Excel file that you have downloaded from the field server. Okay, the same details that you need to assign, okay, inside your PLC controller tags. That is the most important thing. Inside the controller tags, you need to assign these data array length. Okay, if this length is different, then there might be some sort of complication. It is better to assign the required length that you want. Okay, try to assign it here. Then try to assign the same thing. Okay, same tag name inside your PLC controller. Okay, as I told earlier. Okay, these are the common things that you're going. This node name is very much important. This node name can be your controller name. Okay, it can be your controller name or a PLC name that you have assigned. It can be a DTDC controller name, or it can be a PLC controller name that you have assigned. That name is very much important. As you can see here in the controller tags below that, you will assign these names in the normal PLCs. Check that name and update the same name in the node name. Okay, then this EIP tag is very much important. This tag you're going to create inside your DTC, okay, controller tags, or normally inside your normal PLC controller tags, you need to create these the same tags, and you need to assign this length. Then only you can try to establish it. So these three things are very much important. IP address is very much important because this is going to be your IP address that you're the one that you're going to assign. It can be DTC control, or it can be a PLC control that you're going to assign. Okay, and these are the controller tags which you had already configured inside your field server. The same controller tags you need to arrays you need to create inside the PLC controller tags, and the same length of the arrays you have to fix it. Okay, and see here, as you can see here, as I told earlier, so what sort of protocol you're going to, it can be backnet IP. Okay, and as I told earlier, the node ID, this is going to be your slave ID. Okay, it differs from equipment to equipment, but this ID should be present inside conside equipment. Then only you can able to communicate with them. Okay, so because your the field service is going to be a master, and this is going to be a slave, so this is the ID that you have to use it. As I told earlier, apart from it, you have a column for the map descriptors, data arrays, data offset values, functions, node names, data type, object ID, property length. All these things will be there in your Excel, and all these things you need to create. Okay, you're going to create a name. What's it's the name? I'm going to access it because it will be easy for you to note down the values. And this is the object instance. This differs from equipment to equipment. This should be assigned inside your the controllers of the field devices, which you're going to establish a communication. And most importantly, this data type is very much important. Okay, whether it is a binary data, or it is a binary output data, or it is going to be an analog input value, or it is going to be an analog voltage, or it is a binary value or binary input. All these things you need to assign here, and this is going to be your functions. What sort of functions you're going to perform? Whether you're going to perform only read operation, you can use this. No, you want to write it, then you can go for it. Since it's a binary output, you're going for a write operation. In the same way, if you are going to write the analog values, then you can go for write options. And just you want to read, most of the inputs you will go for the read values. RDBC here refers to the read functions. Okay, and this WR refers to the write functions that you're going to use. So as I told earlier, these are some of the other examples of how to assign for the backnets. Okay, the node names can be different. Okay, you can use any sort of node names which you want to use. Okay, as I told earlier, these names will differ from equipment to equipment. If you want to use a node name, you can use it. Okay, And as I told earlier, this is a node ID which you need to assign inside your field FCU controllers. Baud rate is going should be same, okay, and which port you're going to connect, that is the most important thing, okay. And if you assigned here made your connections in the port 2, which is at the below, and if you mention here port 1, you won't see any sort of readings here. You need to mention which port you're going to connect, whether you're going to connect in the R1 port or on the R2 port. That is very much important. So these are the small precise things that you need to consider when you're preparing or updating your configuration Excel file, which you're going to upload inside your download inside your field server, and sometimes you want to download it also for your requirements, okay. So as I told earlier, so the function is going to be different. This object instant will be different for the equipments, the data that is going to take. So this instant details that you need to get from the controller that you're going to use for the FCUs, or it can be for a VAVs. Even for the chillers also, this object ID is very much important. And then the data type is going to be important. This data type you need to create, okay, whether you're going to read the binary input or you're going to write the analog output value. Okay, sometimes for 0 to 10 volt, you're going to assign the values. It can be from 0 to 100%. So this analog output you're going to assign. So you're going to write. So mostly, if it is analog values, okay, or even on-off functions, okay, binary commands if you want to do, then you're going with the right options. So mostly if you're going for a control, okay, control of analog equipments or okay, analog values, and most importantly analog outputs. And if you're going for any sort of commands, it can be a devo commands, you can use the right options. Just you want to read the present statuses values, in such occasions you can use this binary data types, okay. And this is a simple example, okay, how it will looks like inside a web page, okay. As you can see here, if the communication is there, this is going to be your equipment, okay. You can see the TX RX readings will be almost same, okay. And these, once you have updated everything in the Excel, the same thing will be replicated when you connect your Ethernet port with your PCs, and if you have the establish the communication between the equipments. As you can see here, inside the nodes you can see the equipments, and each and every node you can able to assign, able to know whether you have a proper communication. Here we have only communication with the PLCs, but the equipment is not, don't have any sort of communication. As you can see here in the first one, it has some sort of communication, so you can assure that the communication is happening. And in the same way, even for the fan coil units with different tag names, you can see the TX and RX values. Okay, thank you. Please subscribe. The session is going to be an intro session, so it will be, for sure, it will be useful for you. So whenever you create any sort of things inside your field server, try to liquidate the basic this sort of things, so it will be easy for you to create and establish a communication with the equipments which is present at the field. So if you want to know more, please subscribe to our channel, and please press the bell icon. If you like this video, please share with your friends. Thank you so much.